There's a phrase that you might remember. It's that you're known by the company you keep. And it's a true statement because if I don't know you, but I know all your friends and like them, then the chances are that if I know you, I would like you too. Also, that if your friends are using bad language, then I know probably you're going to use bad language too because you're going to be influenced by them. Even if you're not, at least you're being kind of slimed, your reputation is being slimed by the company you are keeping. And so when the scribes and Pharisees are complaining to Jesus about having him eat with tax collectors and sinners, then I think they're thinking much the same way. First, that he's a closet tax collector or sinner, or that he's going to be influenced by them, or at the very least he should be associating with a better sort of crowd, and that means them. But Jesus doesn't do that. Instead, he flips that idea on its head, saying that instead of being influenced by them, that he is influencing them. That if he is not there with the tax collectors and sinners, how are they ever going to get any better? How are they going to come back to Christ? For example, look at the story of the lost sheep. The lost sheep is never ever going to find its way back unless someone reaches out to that sheep, that shepherd, and brings him back. Even more so for the lost coin. It's an inanimate object. It's not going to be found unless someone reaches out to that. Even with the parable of the prodigal son comes back to be a hired hand. Treat me as you would one of your hired workers. But instead, the father runs out, embraces him, kisses him, and brings him back as a son. Jesus is bringing back the lost. He is bringing back the tax collectors and sinners. Take, for example, another story in this Gospel of Luke, where Jesus is traveling through a village, and there's this chief tax collector there named Zacchaeus who wants to see Jesus. So he runs ahead of the crowd, and since he's small in stature, climbs up to a tree to see Jesus. And when Jesus sees him, he says, "Come down from the tree, Zacchaeus. I must stay at your house and eat with you today." And the reason then, what happens then is Zacchaeus says, or the people grumble, just like the scribes and Pharisees are grumbling in this passage. And Zacchaeus says, if I've defrauded anybody, I'll repay them fourfold. And I'll give half of my wealth to the poor. This change of life happened because Jesus came to see him. If Jesus had just looked up and said, "Oh, there he is, isn't that neat?" then nothing would have changed. And the same is true for each and every one of us. We have tax collectors and sinners in our midst. No, we don't have to go to the inner city to a drug dealer to try and convert them. We have people who are estranged from the church and from Jesus Christ among our family, friends, loved ones, and co-workers. It is up to us now to bring them back. There's not just one lost sheep, there's more sheep that are lost than are in the sheepfold by now. To bring them back, to reach out to them, to set good example, to invite them to the Mass, to the Word, and to the sacraments, is all of our responsibilities. Jesus eats with tax collectors and sinners. Will we do the same?